Mark your calendar, AAOS 2026 registration kicks off November 3rd. From March 2nd to March 6th, New Orleans is where orthopedics comes alive. Reunite with classmates, share ideas with peers, and connect with colleagues worldwide. This is where your best moments turn into memories. Don't miss out on early bird savings. Register now at aaos.org/NOLA2026. The AAOS Bone Beat Orthopedic Podcast channel is pleased to welcome you to the latest episode of the AAOS Now podcast. This exciting new podcast series covers a broad range of topics related to orthopedic surgery, practice, and advocacy. This episode will highlight the upcoming 2026 AAOS annual meeting in New Orleans, March 2nd through 6th. You'll learn what's new in 2026 and get a sneak peek at the wealth of educational offerings, orthopedic innovations, and one-of-a-kind experiences available exclusively at the on-site meeting.
Well, welcome to the AAOS Now podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the annual meeting 2026, and we're joined by Dr. Matt Provencher, sports medicine surgeon from Vail, Colorado, who has been the chair of the annual meeting oversight committee for the past 5 years, and by Dr. Mike Leddy, who is a sports surgeon in Alexandria, Louisiana, and who's the current chair of the Board of Councilors. Mike lived in New Orleans for several years, and he works not far away, so he's going to be our Cajun man, our expert on Louisiana. So I'd like to kind of begin by asking everybody, the annual meeting theme is here moments become memories, and looking at all the numbers, they're pretty astounding. I mean, if you look at the numbers from 2025, 16,000 attendees, 68 orthodome presentations, technology sessions in Spanish, poster presentations, 162 ICLs. So I want to ask Matt, how long does it take to plan all that and put together the annual meeting? And how many people are involved behind the scenes?
It's really amazing, Stuart. First of all, it's an incredible team effort to put on one of the largest medical meetings in the world. This is not just orthopedics we think about, but the way we think about it is we really want to put on one of the best medical meetings. And that's looking at how general surgery, dermatology, all these other folks do things. So we really try to plan things out really years in advance. And so the changes you're seeing for 2026, which we're super excited about, have been years in the works, but we're also, you quoted some pretty daunting and big numbers. We're also quite nimble. And that's the beauty of being able to make changes, to pilot programs, to add things in. The orthodome's a great example. We really are trying to make this the best possible meeting for attendees, our stakeholders, our vendors, and really bringing education as one of the crown jewels of the AAOS.
Well, it's certainly a great medical meeting, and you've been chair for 5 years, so you've seen a lot of these changes happen, and you've been part of some of these changes. What's been the most gratifying part for you?
I think the most gratifying has been really trying to take a data-driven approach that focuses on the attendee, that focuses on other stakeholders, our vendors, sponsors, and trying to put a meeting together that really is impactful. We understand that people are taking time out of their busy lives, their busy practices, and we know that people spend multiple days at the annual meeting, on average 2.8 to 3.2 days, and that is very important. We want to put together an incredible 3 days for our people, and the only way we've been able to do that and change things and provide what we want as orthopedic surgeons is to use the data. And the data has been impactful because guess what? Believe it or not, we're sort of creatures of habit, as we find as orthopedic surgeons. We like hanging out in ICL this long, a symposium this long, we go here this long, we meet for lunch here. It's very good to have a meeting that's put at the forefront of the attendee and then all the stakeholders.
Not only are we creatures of habit, we're creatures of data.
Correct.
And we use that data to make it a better meeting. What specific points of data have you found have been the most influential, the ones that really caused change or brought about some big changes?
So attendee behavior, we all behave in very different ways. But again, at the end of the day, it's pretty similar. Here's an example we used to have back in the day, 180-minute, 3-hour ICLs. We started to phase those out and go to 2-hour ICLs. And when we did a 2-hour, 120-minute ICL, the data showed that people on average stayed 87 minutes out of 120. So we're like, okay, a lot of people drifted off. They went to the next event. They went to the exhibit hall. They went and got coffee. And we get all that. We love to get people moving, get people interacting. It's about the collegiality and the interaction. We love that. So we use that data of 87 minutes out of 120, and we brought the ICLs down to 90. For 90 minutes, guess how long they stayed? 86.5 minutes. So we're sort of creatures of habit. And so we sort of have this sweet spot. But now we're looking at making things even more efficient with 60-minute sessions that we're putting together this year. We've added an extra session. We've got standard 60-minute sessions that really give us a ton of flexibility to get people interacting and reduce what we call sort of cognitive fatigue, which we were seeing in the data.
So were the length of some of the ICLs driven by surgical technique demonstrations and the needs to be hands-on? And is that going to be affected at all?
No, I don't think so. In fact, Stuart, the instructional course lectures, this is a huge change this year. We're super excited about this. No more registration, pre-registration for ICLs, no more registration fee for the ICLs. So ICLs are complimentary. So you will be able to go to the ICLs of your choice, what fits in your schedule, and it eliminates ICL ticketing. This was our number one cited frustration, was trying to put together a schedule with so much going on. It really simplifies everything for the attendee. The registration process removes friction, reduces our operational complexity, and it's really, I think, increases value to the attendee as well as our faculty. We've got an incredible faculty at the AAOS annual meeting. We want to make sure we're delivering bimodal value, if you will.
So it means that basically an attendee can go and decide and walk into an ICL.
Correct. I mean, there'll be maybe fire marshal rules where the room is full. We love that. I mean, that's a great problem to have. And we look at that for next year and say, okay, this topic was super highly subscribed. We use the data and get a bigger room or add more of that topic. So that's the beauty of this, is we know what will happen, but you can walk in 2 minutes ahead of time if there's room, which there should be. And that's what we're planning on. And we already know what topics are going to require the larger rooms versus the medium-sized rooms.
So you plan for those and you book the rooms.
Correct.
And all of that. So when does the planning for this year's event actually start?
Stuart, it's basically already done. The plans are done. Registration goes live here next week for all attendees. So we're excited about that, to get registration. And early bird registration is critical because you save a bunch of money on it as ahead of registration. It's actually one of the least expensive orthopedic meetings to attend. When you look at specialties, when you look at regional meetings, et cetera, it's a great value when you look for the cost of registration versus everything you get. It's all inclusive. So
it's a good value. And Mike, it's a good trip to New Orleans.
Oh yeah, it's great. And I want to say real quick, being on the board of directors and working directly with Matt over the past 3 years, you really and truly get to see how these folks work and the time and effort that they've put in for this. You get to see the data that Matt's put together and all the thought process that has gone in. It is a tremendous amount of work, and he should be commended and his team should be commended for it. Because as someone who just used to attend the meeting and you'd say, well, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Actually seeing what's going into the sausage to make the sausage, it's enlightening, and it is a tremendous amount of work. And he has done a fantastic job for this meeting, and he has done a fantastic job setting us up for the next 3 or 4 meetings, because that's how far in advance they're all working. So he should be commended for that.
And obviously, member feedback is key to planning for next year, the year beyond, and the year after that.
That's correct.
Yeah, no question on that, Stuart. One of the member surveys key, vendor survey key. We use all the data. We want to make this the best possible experience. We know you're taking time away, so I particularly am really passionate about that. We want to provide impact for our attendees. And by using that attendee survey data, guess what wins every day? Guess what people love is the education. And they love coming for the education, the interaction, the collegiality.
And people come for the education, but also have a good time in the host city.
Oh yeah, you know the thing about New Orleans is it's kind of interesting. I started my orthopedic career in my residency at LSU in New Orleans when Bob D'Ambrosia was the chairman or was the president of the academy, and my first academy was 28 years ago in New Orleans. So that's where I was exposed to it, and it's amazing how much has changed in 28 years. I remember going into the academy not really knowing what the meeting was all about. And walking into that convention center, which is one of the largest ones in the United States, and see it completely filled with anything and everything in orthopedics was just absolutely amazing. And, you know, back then you walked around with a paper map and you tried to find all the different places. And now where we are now with the apps and the maps and all the technology to get you where you are, it's going to be so awesome just to see it back in New Orleans to compare it from 28 years ago. The funny thing about it is the city really hasn't changed a lot. You know, we had the hurricane with Katrina, and the city actually improved from that. When the original meeting that I went to back 28 years ago, people had to stay in hotels up in Baton Rouge and across the river because it was such a well-attended meeting. And the city was actually threatened by the academy, saying that they weren't going to be able to bring the academy back if they weren't able to house everyone. And they turned the warehouse district into a bunch of new hotels. And that's what I think makes New Orleans so special is everything is right there. Everything is in walking distance, from the meeting to the hotels to all the other things you and your family may want to do while you're down there. It's great to use Ubers. It's great to use pedicabs, but on a beautiful day in New Orleans, to walk down the street, to stop in a cafe, to listen to some music, it's right there. The exhibit halls are right there. All the classrooms and all the meeting rooms are right there. So you're not moving from one building to another to do all those things. It's walking to the convention center, spending time in the convention center, and walking back to your hotel and doing whatever else you'd like to do around there. So the city is perfect for the academy.
And along that line, the new member app for the annual meeting is going to include a navigation program, kind of Google Maps or Apple Maps for attendees. Matt, can you explain how that works a little bit?
Yeah, Stuart, I'm glad you brought that up. Mike mentioned it as well. We've been dating a number of vendors. So first of all, you need a good app vendor, and the app vendor has to be able to handle the magnitude of this meeting. Some of us, we go to our subspecialty meetings, we go to some smaller meetings, and we should check this app out, this product, this vendor. Unfortunately, with the scale and magnitude of our meeting, the number of users and the things that we need in the app, it's been a bit of a challenge to put everything together. One of the biggest things was putting together the navigation. And so we finally got that figured out. And to that 0.6 miles, it's going to be seamless. Why? Because we're going to be able to navigate you just like you do on your maps on your smartphone from dot A to dot B. You know exactly how to do it, where to turn left, where to turn right, how to go to a specific exhibit area, a specific exhibit and vendor, get to your room, go upstairs, downstairs. We're really excited about this. And it's really the future of how we're going to interact with the meeting, to the point where this will all be integrated down the road in your app to completely navigate you on where to go during the day.
So you can put in the name of a session or an instructional course, and it'll get you from where you are to where you're going and show you the route with the least traffic.
Yeah, we're maybe not quite there yet, but the people traffic, yeah, but I like that concept.
So Matt, over the past couple of years, the Academy has added several new membership categories, and efforts have been made to get medical students, residence fellows, affiliated physicians, allied health providers, international members more involved. Do you think this is going to increase the attendance at the meeting?
Stuart, no question. We're really making concerted efforts to provide value to all of those groups and beyond for what you mentioned, not the least of which is, say, the medical student program. The medical student program used to be 25 to 50 attendees. Now it's in the hundreds. Our resident program is the best it's been with the Rock, the Resident Bowl, the resident interactions. We used to have very discounted ICLs for the med students and residents. Now that's all gone. So for everyone, so there's no registration fees for the ICLs. The Allied Health, our international members, many individuals, we continue to partner with partner nations, individuals in Dr. Leddy's area and world. We really try to leverage the state societies that are local to the area. Again, this is a great time to come together as orthopedic surgeons. We're stronger together. This is a great showcase of that. And we really try to give each of those groups you mentioned tremendous value by attending this meeting.
So over the past few years, we've seen a lot of technological changes, electronic programs, badges, the new mobile app. Are you bringing any other new technology to the convention?
Yes, Stuart, one of the biggest things we just mentioned about was the navigation. The app is completely revitalized this year to make it even easier, to make your schedule easier and to integrate with your app. We're continuing to work with our registration vendor to simplify the registration process to help you build out your calendar better. With making the ICLs free, this is going to simplify everything for putting your meeting together for things that you want to get out of the meeting. The other things we're always working on are with our audiovisual vendors. I'm a big kind of nerd about this, but I don't like going into a room where the projector is not bright enough, the resolution's not good enough. Why? Because we do surgery and we need to be able to see that. And so having really good technology, we've got new laser, digital LED, I've already gone too far of my knowledge base, but some 12, 15, 18, 20K projectors where we continue to update the projectors and the light and the lumens out of those projectors to make everything stand out and be super slick. The Orthodome continues to integrate. We basically have two 30K stacked projectors, which would be one of the best theaters in the country out there. And so we do two 30K stacked projectors. Now it's not quite 60K, but it ends up being some algorithm on it of 45 or 50K overall. But you can literally see the level of detail. You can see a scratch on a Homan retractor from 50 feet back. And so it's a really remarkable, immersive experience. And I think this is one of the things I've tasked the committee with. This is who we are. We're orthopedic surgeons. We're immersive. We need to learn very well from audiovisual. And this is a big play going forward. And so I think you'll see a lot of that in New Orleans, and then even our next two sites, which will be Las Vegas in 2027 and San Diego in 28. So we're very excited about those technological changes.
So it becomes kind of an orthopedic IMAX.
Exactly. I mean, if we had the capabilities, I would have every room be an orthodome room. We're not there yet, but I could see something coming down the road. But suffice it to say, all the rooms are doing really well from an audiovisual standpoint. It's very bright, vibrant, excellent detail. And that's what we want. You don't want to sit in the back of the room and not be able to make out the words and make out what's going on in the surgical video.
And no one anywhere is going to have instruments with scratches.
Yeah, they're pristine, always.
Like we all get, right?
Right.
So OrthoPitch has been a big thing over the past couple of years. Can you explain a little more what that is and the audience you're targeting?
Sure, Stuart. We work as orthopedic surgeons in an innovative atmosphere. We're trying to innovate, we're trying to develop, we're trying to do things better. If this type of part of a case is hard, maybe there's an easier way to do it. Maybe there's a better trinket to be able to do it. And so innovation is part of our DNA in orthopedics. And this is exactly what we like to showcase with our ortho pitch, is using our orthopedic surgeons alongside our industry partners to showcase the latest innovations, the latest tech that is providing meaningful and impactful care for our patients and making it better and easier for surgeons. Surgery can be hard. And so trying to make that easier, better, more efficient, more predictable, safer, et cetera, is what this is all about. And so we showcase a number of applications after it's gone through a vetting process and present the best of the best orthopedic technology innovations.
And it's a way for the Academy to emphasize and encourage innovation and allow our members to see what's coming up over the horizon. Okay, so who chooses the topics for the symposia? And after the topics are chosen, who puts them all together? And how do you determine just where they're going to fit in the program?
Yeah, Stuart. So again, under the hood and behind the scenes, there are hundreds of abstract graders, submission graders, ICL, symposia grader. There is a central program chair that rotates every year that's appointed by the president, plus an ICL symposia chair. We all work closely together. We work with April Holmes and her team, Paul Zanitis, and put together what we feel to be the most robust program, ones that resonate with abstract grading, symposia grading, ICL grading. It all goes through a peer review process. Believe it or not, it's almost like an article submission, if you will, and you're going through some level of peer review. It's not maybe to that same exact level, but it's pretty close. It gets vetted quite a bit. And then what we then do is round out the program to make sure that we have everything represented, the House of Orthopedics, that we have all of our subspecialty societies represented, that we have all of our topics represented, that we know where the interest and the hot topics are going to be. And we love piloting things. We love trying, it's okay to fail a little bit. We want out of many of those failures become successes. And a lot of the programs that have stuck well beyond the pilot program have been massive successes for the Academy and their educational products. So it's highly vetted. I want to thank the hundreds of volunteers that are on the abstract committees, the ICL committees. There's so many people behind the scenes. Like, for example, I do sports. You don't want me grading the spine papers. So we have really good spine surgeons that are grading all the spine papers. And speaking of that, not to get too far ahead, but we're bringing back some really cool spine surgery content, a really improved tumor lineup that's really focused and consolidated almost over a day and a half. So you can get a ton of your musculoskeletal tumor. If that's what you want to attend, you could do your spine stuff over a very concentrated period of time. Now, keep in mind stuff like hip and knee surgery. A lot of us do hip and knee replacement. So, how do we do that? Well, we sort of consolidate it during a main time, but we also sprinkle it on the ends too, because you can't get to it all. We have a ton of content there that we need to spread out a little bit more. So it sort of depends on what we do, who we are, et cetera. We look very closely at the data to spread all that out.
And what your interests are and whatnot. And all of these things are vetted by program committees, an ICL course committee, and everything like that.
That's correct. Yeah, this is not just one person picking them, Stuart. This is hundreds of people that behind the scenes working to grade and pick the best of the best. I got to tell you, there's no shortage of interest in the annual meeting. How do we know that? Because there's almost 9,000 abstracts submitted for consideration of presentation on a podium or at a poster. And we have a lot of new e-posters. What we do know is that number continues to increase each year. So there's no shortage of interest in submitting abstracts to the AAOS annual meeting.
So the meeting is great. It's a fabulous educational experience. And by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, everybody is worn out, but wanting to go out in town. Mike, where do you go?
Well,
You know New Orleans well.
Well, there's a lot of things to offer in New Orleans. Some of the advice I would give, particularly for our younger members or our first-time members that come, is, don't be afraid to make a schedule. Don't be afraid to check out the map of New Orleans and see where your hotel is, and also use the app to see where your meetings are during your time there. One of the neat things, I'm sure Matt would agree about it, is you'll set your schedule and you'll go from one to the other. Never try to go back to back on your ICLs, because sooner or later you're going to be walking down the hall and you're going to run into somebody you haven't seen in a while. And the next thing you know, 45 minutes later, you're going to be like, oh, well, I guess I missed that ICL. Take the time to meet people. The other thing, particularly with the new residents and medical students, don't be afraid to go up and introduce yourself to somebody there. You may have read a paper from somebody, or you may have, seen a talk that they gave. Go up and introduce yourself. You might not have to talk shop, but, to go up, introduce yourself, tell them who you are. Down the road, you may have a fellowship that you may want to go to. You may have a residency you may want to go to. And putting a face to a name helps out a lot. Our colleagues, they're more than happy to talk with you, give you some advice as to things that go on. And even if they're running around, they'll share their emails with you. They'll share their information with you. So use it as a networking place as well, because you'll learn a lot from orthopedics, but you can also learn a lot about the business of orthopedics and the things that go on about being an orthopedic surgeon every day. That was one of the best things about the meeting for me, is just being able to meet somebody and go. Don't be afraid to go to the resident symposiums. Don't be afraid to go to the new member committee meetings. You'll get to meet people from the BOC, the BOS. You'll get to meet the presidential line, and you'll get to meet others that their first time in the meeting and be able to share experiences about what's going on. For New Orleans wise, I mean, you can't beat the city. A lot of people will say, oh, well, it's Bourbon Street, it's Mardi Gras. There's so many things to do. I personally think the number one museum in the United States is the World War II Museum. And if you have time, go to it. I'm not going to tell you anything about it because I can't do it justice by trying to describe it. You have to go to it. You have to experience it. But there's other museums there. There's the Pharmacy Museum. It's great. You can go in there and you can learn the history of all the different medicines. It's right down in the French Quarter. You have the Insectarium where you can go and bring the kids and they can learn all about bugs. The Audubon Zoo is absolutely fantastic, and the aquarium is right downtown. And they're two great places to go to. You can go up to City Park. City Park has a small little amusement park there. It's a beautiful place to go see the old oaks and walk around the tracks. Downtown, you can't beat the Marne. The Marne is east of the French Quarter, and that's where Frenchman Street is, and that's where you're going to go see some of the best music you can ever hear. You can go to the Spotted Cat. You can go to the Blue Nile. You can go to Snug Harbor. You can get a meal there, and you can walk through the art district they have there. And just walking around the city, there's all tiny cafes that you can go to and walk in and listen to some music or just take some time and people watch, because there's no better place to people watch than in New Orleans. And there's just so much for the city has to offer. And the other thing about it is compared to other places that we have the academy, it's really affordable. The city itself, to go in and have a meal and to sit down or have coffee or have drinks with friends, it's still affordable. It's not the sticker shock that a lot of other places that we have the academy are in. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so attractive to younger residents and medical students, where they get a lot of bang for their buck, not only the meeting, but it's a good time. The one thing I do warn about everyone from New Orleans, it's just like New York. Don't try to squeeze everything into the 5 days while you're there. Take the time, pick some places to go to, and then we want to come back to New Orleans to see other things. You'll want to come back for the Jazz Festival season. You'll want to come back for Mardi Gras. If you go to New Orleans once, you're going to come back. That's the thing about the city, because it's so inviting and so welcoming. I arrived 28 years ago with plans going back to Boston, where I did my residency, here to New York, where I was from. I met my wife there, and 28 years later, New Orleans and Louisiana has been the best decision I've ever made. And that's all I can really tell everyone. It's a wonderful place to come to, and there won't be any regrets coming.
I'm sure there won't be. You practice a little bit outside of New Orleans. Are there places where a family could go for a day trip outside of the city?
Absolutely. You could go on down to the Bayou area, and you can book a swamp boat tour, take it all through that area there, see the alligators, see the fishing industry, go through the bayous, go through the national parks there. If you wanted to take a trip up the road 80 miles away, if you have any suggestions for our head coach, we'll take them. You can go up to LSU, and you can see Tour LSU and Tour Baton Rouge, and you can see Mike the Tiger exhibit up there. Going across Lake Pontchartrain to the North Shore, there's a bunch of different restaurants in that area as well. The Mississippi coast is only an hour away. You could go over to Gulfport or to Biloxi there and experience that. There's just a lot to do. Most people don't realize New Orleans is the second largest city in the Deep South, and it has a lot of culture, from the Spanish to the French to the American colonization of it. And you can see it in the architecture. You can see it in the cuisine. And don't be afraid to walk by a small restaurant and take a shot at it. You'll have your Emeralds, you'll have your Antoines, you'll have these big name restaurants. But a couple that people don't know about is GW Finn's, great fish. The Italian Barrel, a very small Italian restaurant with a young cook that does a wonderful job. Everyone wants to go to Acme Oyster House. I'll give you a little secret. Felix is just as good. The Port of Call is a great place to get a hamburger and a potato the size of your head. And one of the best places to go and get a drink to see a little bit of history is Lafitte's Blacksmith Shop. It's right in the French Quarter off of St. Anne's. It's the oldest bar in New Orleans, and they still use candles at night to light the bar. So those are some places, but there's these little nooks and crannies that you can find your way through in New Orleans, and you can get a great meal, a great drink, and a great experience.
And there's a lot to enjoy in the city and a lot to enjoy in the meeting. Matt, you're working really hard on this. You come to the meeting, do you get any sleep at night?
Stuart, the great thing is the team is amazing. That they'll be there 7 to 10 days ahead of time, getting everything set up and the rigging and the exhibit hall. And it's really about the team. We do have quite a few meetings with our on-site vendors and others. Why is that? Because we're already thinking about the next 2 to 3 years and what we can do better. We have a lot of post-flight meetings. We see how things went, what went well, went done better. We call them hot washes. It's been really good to have that. So, but yes, I do. I program that in. We don't try not to overschedule. I try not to put myself on the program too much, just a light sprinkle. So we're really gives it time to do all these other things to put on a great show. But it's really about the team, and they do such a fantastic job. And the New Orleans Convention Center Bureau is great to work with. New Orleans has always been incredible for the AAOS. We've had a great turnout, a great meeting there. From our attendees to the exhibitors, we really enjoyed our relationship with New Orleans. And as Mike said, there's so much to take advantage of.
Do either of you get a chance to go to any of the actual educational meetings?
During the week, I try to schedule a couple of places. With BOC responsibilities, Stuart, we have a big advocacy program that we do there. This year, we've got a great luncheon set up with Mike Burgess. He's a former congressman, and he was the chairman of the Doc Caucus there. We have some hot topics that we need to discuss and talk with our members, including the downcoding insurance issues that the insurance companies are using with the AI technology, as well as the 2026 Medicare physicians fee schedule that's going to affect not only private practice, but employed physicians with their RVUs. Adam Brueggemann is going to be putting together a big talk on that to educate our members moving forward as to how that could affect, and that could be pretty problematic with things moving forward. We'll have our advocacy booth that I will spend some time with the BOC, and then we're also going to have our big advocacy reception. And of course, being New Orleans, I've already have about 35 requests of places to meet and be part of different things. So I think this year I'm going to be a little bit more of a social ambassador than an educational ambassador, but that's all right.
But you'll also be an advocate still and BOC chair still.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice thing that my chairmanship is ending where my residency started. So and that'll be in New Orleans, and it's a nice cherry on top for a great year for being the BOC chair and being able to work with the board and work with Matt. So it's been a great year.
All come full circle.
Yes.
Any final thoughts from either of you about what people should look for, what specifically they can go out and enjoy, or what not to miss at the annual meeting?
Stuart, there's so many great things to do, obviously, not just at the convention center, but obviously in New Orleans. When you're looking at the convention, we really love the interaction. If it's one thing, we love the interaction with the annual meeting, the ICL, the symposia. The exhibit hall is critical to our education. We can't do our craft without our exhibitors and our sponsors. And so what we continue to put out with our exhibitors and with our academy community is we love working alongside you for really good, tasteful, high-end education that's provided in the exhibit hall. So we provide about 3 to 3.5 hours each day, depending on the day, of unopposed exhibit time, because we see a significant portion of education occurring on top of all the other great education. We got plenty of other education stuff.
Yeah.
It's also interacting with our exhibitors, your local vendors, presidents of companies. How many times do you get to do that? And you're in a surgery center that needs help and potentially advocacy help or help on pricing or other things. And you go meet one-on-one with the vendors. There's nothing like that in-person meeting to make that connection and see what else you can do for your hospital, your surgery center. We are the best consumers of all of this, and our vendors listen to us, and we got to make sure we're at the forefront of that and making the right decisions of the things we need to use for our patients. We don't have someone else telling us that. And so that's why this is important.
Any final thoughts, Mike?
I just want to echo what Matt said. His team has done a phenomenal job with trying to check every box. One of the things that they really worked on this year, and you can see it like Matt mentioned with regards to spine and musculoskeletal oncology, is they have really reestablished the lines of communication with the specialty societies and trying to work with the specialty societies to help them be a part of this meeting, because we need to do this together. We're only strong if we do it together. And the program that he's put forward with regards to education is phenomenal. Take some time to go and talk with our vendors. Our vendors are very, very important. And having that unopposed time every day to spend some time with the vendors and looking for what is going to best serve your patients and treat your patients is important. They call it the Big Easy for a reason. It's because everybody is just a little laid back and they just take every day one step at a time. I think that's important for our members to come down. Educate yourself, but also take some time to smell the coffee and the roses down there. Coffee more important because there's coffee everywhere in New Orleans, but, recharge your battery, see some friends that you haven't seen in a while, reconnect with your residency programs or your fellowship programs if they have reunions. Like we started with this, make memories, have the meeting be your meeting. And when you're all said and done and you're back in your offices, let us know what was good. Let us know what we need to improve on, because this is going to be your meeting moving forward as you start your orthopedic life. If you're a new member or a resident, and if you've attended the meeting in the past, we want to know what we're doing right, because that's the only way we're going to be able to improve it and to give Matt and his team ideas moving forward with regards to Vegas and to San Diego. He's done an unbelievable job listening to everyone's suggestions that have come out of Chicago and San Francisco and Vegas and San Diego. And it's just continued to grow. And I'm excited about the meeting being in my backyard, but I'm also excited to see where it is compared to what it was 28 years ago, where it was compared to 1 year ago. So I look forward to seeing everybody down there. And I really and truly think you should take the time and come down and get a little education, get a little relaxation, and get a little libation and a little music in your life. So I think you'll enjoy yourself.
So we all look forward to a great educational experience and a good time in the Big Easy. Dr. Matt Provencher, Vail, Colorado, Dr. Michael Leddy, Alexandria, Louisiana, thanks so much for joining us. This is the AAOS Now podcast. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the AAOS Now podcast, featuring Dr. Stuart Fischer, with special guests Dr. Matthew Provencher and Dr. Michael Leddy. Production and editing by MK Quinn Media. Registration is now open for the 2026 annual meeting. The early bird deadline is December 7th, so don't wait. Visit aaos.org/annual to register today. Don't miss out on future episodes of the AAOS Now podcast. Bookmark our page, aaos.org/AAOS-now-podcast. Or subscribe to the Bone Beat podcast channel on Apple Podcasts, listen on the Health Podcast Network or Spotify, and watch select episodes on YouTube.